The funny thing about mystery charges is that they don't feel mysterious anymore. They feel routine, like the modern cost of tapping the wrong button at the wrong time. And I once thanked a free trial that quietly billed me for months, unnoticed. That's how smooth these systems are now. Because back when canceling meant calling a human being, you at least knew who to yell at. But now the target is a distant design team inside an office that probably has a kombucha tap. But the bigger shift has nothing to do with slick branding. It's the business model where everything wants to be a subscription rather than a product or purchase. Something small, monthly, and forgettable, yet always ready to renew when you stop paying attention. And the companies insist it's all about convenience, though they never finish the sentence, because it's convenience up front and invisibility in the back, where free trials begin instantly and cancellation instructions hide behind menus resembling printer settings. By the time the charge hits your card, the service feels familiar enough that you assume it belongs there, which is the trick. Recognition, letting you forget the sign-up, while the comfortable logo nudges you to shrug and move on. Most people don't realize how many places can authorize charges on their behalf, from the App Store to Amazon and Roku, plus the original website layered on top, creating a crowded room of overlapping renewal paths. You sign up on your phone, the renewal routes through Amazon, the customer support email sends you back to the original site, and the cancel button hides beneath nested settings designed to blur responsibility under something called reducing friction. I call it a shell game because the revenue logic is simple. Predictable income beats one-time purchases, turning a $40 product into $4 per month, and hoping people don't notice, while each service learns the same trick simultaneously. None of them feel expensive alone, yet together they behave like a quiet tax on your digital life, especially when you open your email and find a message announcing your trial has ended from a platform you barely remember using. So that's where we are, not quite a crisis and not quite a scam, just an ecosystem counting on your being busy, and most of us are, even while the debris of forgotten renewals quietly accumulates. But we can decode it by first laughing at the absurdity, because it truly is absurd, then tracking down where these charges hide, sorting through the layered menus, and gradually reclaiming control from systems designed to remain unseen. All right, let's get into it, acknowledging that the landscape won't simplify itself, but knowing that understanding the mechanics already shifts the balance, letting us navigate subscriptions with clearer eyes and fewer unwelcome surprises each passing month. The trap works because it feels harmless at the beginning. A free week, a free month, the friendly button promising instant access. And since the only thing standing between you and whatever you want to watch, read, or try is a single tap. Most people don't hesitate. That tap starts the clock. The free part ends quickly, the paid part begins quietly, and the cancel button is already planning its escape. It won't be near the place you entered. It won't be bright or obvious. It will live in a corner menu with a name that avoids the word cancel altogether, usually something like manage or options, as if the platform would rather not acknowledge the exit at all. Nothing dramatic, just an intentional blur. Once the subscription starts, the system's memory of your intentions becomes stronger than your own. Apple, Amazon, and Roku act as middlemen. They handle the billing, they process the renewals, but they also create a layer of distance between you and the service itself. So when a new charge hits your account, you're left with a puzzle. Did you sign up for this through the app, the website, the device, or a channel inside another channel? The design counts on that hesitation, not maliciously, just strategically. Predictable revenue loves confusion. It keeps things running smoothly as long as no one asks too many questions. But here's the straightforward map. On an iPhone, the subscriptions sit under Settings, not the App Store icon, which would make sense. But Settings, then your name, then Subscriptions. That's where the list lives, whether you meant to join it or not. On Amazon, everything funnels into memberships and subscriptions. The title sounds like a gym contract, but it's where Prime channels, third-party add-ons, and auto-renewing trials hide. And on Roku, the location is even more blunt: manage subscriptions. It's the one place on that interface that tells the truth in plain English, even if it still requires a few clicks to reach. What's interesting is that none of these companies deny the difficulty. They simply rely on repetition. The more subscriptions you stack, the more normal the stack feels. $7.99 pops up so often it loses meaning. $12.99 becomes a background number, like the temperature in a room you've stopped noticing. Meanwhile, the system keeps nudging you: a one-click upgrade here, an extended trial there, a banner insisting you won't lose anything by saying yes. They make yes easy because yes pays monthly. No requires a small expedition. So the rule of thumb becomes simple enough to say out loud: subscribe with your eyes open. If you know you'll forget, cancel at sign-up. Most trials keep the access active until the end anyway, and if you don't want to do that, set a reminder. Phones are. It's not about living cautiously. It's about not waking up 3 months into a service you didn't remember accepting. Because in a world built on convenient entrances and inconvenient exits, the only real advantage is noticing the design before it notices you. By the time you notice what's happening, it can feel personal. Another renewal hits. Another service you don't quite remember authorizing keeps its seat at the table. But zoom out a step and the picture gets clearer. This isn't a trap built just for you. It's a system optimized for one thing: renewal by default. The design isn't angry or sneaky. It's efficient. It assumes continuation unless interrupted. Charges aren't emotional. They're procedural, repeating quietly because nothing told them to stop. That's the environment most digital services now operate inside. That's the cultural shift worth naming. Paying used to be an event. Now it's a condition. Most modern services don't really want a decision every month. They want momentum. Predictable revenue depends on people staying put, not reevaluating what they're paying for over and over again. So the interfaces are built to make staying easy and leaving slightly annoying. Not impossible, just inconvenient enough to postpone. Buttons are friendly on the way in and administrative on the way out. The friction isn't dramatic, just persistent enough to work. What that does over time is reshape how people relate to money and choice. $7.99 stops feeling like a price and starts feeling like background noise. $12.99 blends in with utilities and phone plans. You're not agreeing anymore, you're tolerating, which turns out to be profitable. Tolerance becomes the emotional state everything is optimized around. As long as nothing feels urgent, nothing gets reviewed. Charges continue because they're familiar, not because they're valuable. Familiarity replaces intention, and that shift happens gradually enough that most people don't notice it forming. There's also a social layer to this. Nobody enjoys admitting they don't know where a charge came from. It feels like a small personal failure, so people shrug it off. They assume it must be their fault. That quiet embarrassment keeps subscriptions alive longer than any reminder email ever could. The system doesn't need to hide perfectly, it just needs people not to ask questions out loud. Silence does the work. If no one brings it up, nothing has to be explained. The charge remains unchallenged. because challenging it feels slightly more uncomfortable than ignoring it. Humor has adapted too. "I forgot I was paying for this" has become a punchline, not a red flag. We joke about unused gym memberships and forgotten streaming trials because it's easier than admitting how automatic the whole process has become over time. Laughter smooths the friction, the charge stays, but none of this means control is gone. It just means the default has changed. Instead of opting in every time, you now have to opt out deliberately. That isn't a moral failure. It's a design reality. The practical response isn't dramatic. It's boring, which is usually where real control lives. Checking subscription lists once in a while, knowing that Apple, Amazon, and Roku sit between you and half the things you pay for. Canceling early and keeping access anyway. So the goal isn't to beat the subscription economy, it's to stop drifting inside it, to notice when convenience quietly turns into obligation, and to remember that clicking manage is sometimes the most adult move in the room.